Okay, welcome once again, my friends. Good evening to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening to us. And today I am so thrilled to have all of you here with us, tonight for an incredibly insightful session. एक बार सोचो that you are into a relationship, be it personal or professional, and that constantly draining your energy. आपके साथ कुछ ऐसा हुआ है? आप कोशिश करते हैं that things work, but sometimes or most of the time it feels like you're caught in an endless loop of toxicity. कहीं ना कहीं familiar sound करता है, I know, but again, if yes, then you are not alone. Many of the people, many of the population, और बहुत सारी population ऐसी है जो इस challenge को face करती है, but they do not know how to break free or heal themselves. आज का जो हमारा सेशन है इसमें दैट वी विल बी डाइविंग इनटू दिस रियल लाइफ सिनेरियो विद with someone who's an expert in guiding individuals towards healing and transformation. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Delnna Rrajesh, a seasoned Reiki master and mind energy coach, onto this platform. Delna jo hai, she has a wealth of experience in helping people break free from toxic relationships, patterns, and create healthier, more fulfilling connections. So, without any delay, let me call her on the stage. And but उससे पहले अगर आप चाहते हैं then you can keep your notebooks with you so that you actually note down the important points and ताकि आप कुछ मिस ना करो, right? Because this session is going to be amazing today, right? So but इससे पहले कि मैं स्टेज उनको हैंड ओवर करूं, थोड़ा सा उनके बारे में. जो डेलना राजेश हैं, शी इज अ साइकोथेरेपिस्ट, hypnotherapist, numerologist. She is a Reiki grandmaster and mind energy coach. She's specializing in over 22 mind energy healing modalities. Wow. Through integrated therapy, she blends in the power of occult, neuroscientific techniques, and energy mastery for rapid transformational growth. एंड एक चीज मैं आपको यहाँ पे बताना चाहता हूँ विच इज क्वाइट इम्पोर्टेंट. और अगर आप भी अपनी कोई जर्नी ऐसी शुरू कर रहे हैं देन यू कैन ऑल्सो सेट अ टारगेट like that. So she is, on a mission to empower 100,000 women to break free from toxic patterns, heal deeply, and rebuild their lives through the, Kintsugi healing. That is a mastership program, a unique blend of psycho spiritual techniques, energy healing, and transformational coaching by nurturing emotional resilience, self love, and spiritual growth. She is, she is guiding women to reclaim their power, create healthy relationships, and achieve success in every area of their lives. So, बहुत कुछ है सीखने के लिए, my friends. So be there. And now Delna will be there for you. We'll be talking to you for next 30 to 35 minutes, and then we'll have a question and answer session. And आपके पास एक opportunity है that you can ask your questions in the session directly from her, and she will answer. So without any delay, let me call her on the stage. And uh, Delna, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Prashant, for such a heartwarming introduction. Uh, yes, so this topic is something which is very close to my heart. Being a psychotherapist, I get a lot of cases of toxic relationships, more from women, I would say. I'm not denying, I don't say men don't go through it. Men equally go through toxic relationships. It is just that it is not so popularly or widely acknowledged today. However, I'm going to share a few experiences from the cases I have had or I have handled over the years with women. These could be cases of domestic violence, marital rape, and different kind of toxic relationships. Before we even begin, what other signs that you are in a toxic relationship? uh, you know uh, if you're feeling in your relationship, if you're feeling mentally, emotionally clogged, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling overpowered or not heard. ओके, आई एम नॉट सेइंग नॉट हर्ड कि आपको कुछ चाहिए, उनको कुछ चाहिए और आपकी बात सुनी नहीं जा रही है, बट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू गेट एट इज where consistently you are feeling like you don't have a say in the relationship. You're going through mental, emotional or physical abuse, sometimes even financial हो सकता है. ठीक है. uh, you're going through chronic criticism or belittling or too much of nagging, then these are the basic how do I say, signs that you are trapped or you are stuck in a toxic relationship. ठीक है. व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप? क्या होता है अगर जब आप टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप, कैसे आप आइडेंटिफाई करोगे? नाउ individuals who are affected, first of all, as a therapist I always say, hurt people, right? So we are not here to look at this from a judgment point of view to say x or y or z is nasty or a horrible person, but we are just going to recognize patterns of toxicity. Yes, hi. We are just going to recognize patterns of toxicity. Okay? First, very, very, very common pattern of toxicity is gaslighting. Okay? Gaslighting, I don't know how many of you have heard of this terminology, but I'm sure a lot of us have faced it. Gaslighting tab hota hai when the individual makes you feel doubtful about everything that you're speaking, everything that you believe. Matlab, you are, you know, you think this has happened, and you have a certain judgment, and every time you judge, actually every time you judge right, that's how I will put it, every time you make out the reality, this person will manipulate you, or you get manipulated, facts are twisted, the person starts to make you doubt your own self. ठीक है. It could start with certain statements. तुम ऐसा सोचती हो, तुम मेरे बारे में ऐसा सोच, तुम्हारी सोच ऐसी है. Now these are statements where you start to suddenly start feeling small about your thought process or how you're thinking. Even if you're thinking on the right track, you may start doubting your own ability to judge. Things like that never happened, you are overreacting, you are always judgmental, you are always critical. Okay, so this is a typical situation of gaslighting. It's very common. Second thing, which is a total red flag, is love bombing. Okay, suddenly this individual will these individuals want to always somehow exhibit control. Okay, when you're in a relationship like that and one individual wants to exhibit control कैसे आ सकता है? कंट्रोल तब आएगा या तो दबाव से आ सकता है, या तो प्यार से आ सकता है, या there is a combination of reward punishment. Okay, now there are times where you realize that this is not working or you're very, very upset. Yes, Gitika, namaste. So now in those moments, you will suddenly see that your partner starts to gift you, starts to be very kind to you, starts to pamper you, starts to talk things that are very promising, very sweet, very kind, very loving, overly gentle. Okay, this is called love bombing. All of a sudden showering you with lots of love, and the next day when you wake up, it's all flat. You don't know what just happened. So abusers, I'm saying abusers not in a very intense sense, but yes, it is a form of abuse. So abusers, they will often use their charm to gain your trust, and once they have the trust, once they create that dependency, once they know they have won you over, then they start slowly inducing the controlling tendency. And they will slowly say, you buy you a gift, and then next day morning, they want you to do something that they have planned already, which they know you would definitely or most likely not want to do. Okay, so gaslighting, then love bombing, then the third red flag is control and dominance. This is a very clear no brainer. Okay, when the opposite person starts controlling you, control कैसे होता है, अलग अलग तरीकों से होता है. Starts to track where you are going. Okay, ask you too many questions, कहाँ जा रहे हो, क्यों जा रहे हो, कैसे जा रहे हो, कब तक आओगे, क्यों इतने बजे जा रहे हो, why are you meeting X, why are you meeting Y. So dictating where you spend your time, how you spend your time, with whom you spend your time, dictating your finances or your decisions in life, and then slowly starting to criticize. If you don't fall in line, or if it does not align with their thought process, they will slowly start with very very mild criticism, and slowly they will see if if you're tipping over to their side and sort of taking it lying down, then slowly that pattern increases and becomes a, a pattern in the relationship. Okay, because they want autonomy there. Okay. Then the fourth red flag is jealousy, possessiveness. So a lot of women come to me and they say, "अरे मैम वो बहुत मतलब he loves me so much, no. That's why उससे हो जाता है. He always says, I can't help it because I love you so much." Okay. Now possessiveness cannot be. First of all, it is not a very healthy. It's not a healthy trait to have, and it can certainly not be an excuse to isolate an individual. It can certainly not be an. I have seen a lot of cases where it's not just about the other gender. It is also isolating from social situations. आप इस ग्रुप को नहीं मिलोगे, आप उस ग्रुप को नहीं मिलोगे, and there are so many women who are after marriage isolated to the extent that they are not even connected with their friends, sometimes not even connected deeply with their family. मतलब एक हाय हेलो के हिसाब से सब कुछ ठीक है, बट दे विल नॉट कम्युनिकेट डीप with their loved ones. Then there is quick anger, then disrespect of boundaries. Okay, boundaries, all of us do understand, I'm hoping. Yes, there are physical boundaries, there are intimacy boundaries, there are financial boundaries, there are social boundaries that you don't cross the line socially, right? So in every aspect of life, there has to be a line of respect जिसको आप cross नहीं करेंगे. And that when it starts to happen, my dear, you are in a toxic relationship. Criticizing behavior, you are in a toxic relationship. Nagging behavior, isolating you from your family, friends, uh, lack of accountability, uh, promise karna, not showing up for that constantly, consistently. Again, if the individual has already had a history of abusive relationships, bahut sare relationship breakdowns because of a certain characteristic that they've had, that's also a very solid red flag. Oversensitive to criticism, matlab you share a little bit of feedback and suddenly you will see them blowing up out of proportion. How dare you, how can you think like that? Okay, this initially seems like, oh, thoda sa sensitive hai, and because my opinion matters so much to him, he's so affected by my thought. No, my dear, if every time consistently this is happening, this overreaction is happening, it is not normal, it is not a normal behavior. You if and the simple technique I tell women, the simple way to identify is, if you wouldn't do it to a loved one, he shouldn't do it to a loved one. It's very simple as that. It's basic humanity. अगर आप किसी के साथ ऐसा nasty behavior नहीं करते, तो सामने वाले का भी अधिकार नहीं बनता कि वो आपको किसी भी तरह, किसी भी बदतमीजी से mentally, emotionally, socially, physically, sexually, financially treat करे, even if you are married. Now, I have also a lot of women who come and who say, who are stuck with domestic violence. How does domestic violence start? Domestic violence will start with a gentle push, very gentle, halka sa dhakka. Okay, that point of time, if you have not been very conscious or not stood up for yourself and said stop, and this will not be taken, then this starts to sort of go into a bigger push, and then a bigger one, and then holding you tight, and then it starts to develop into what we call a consistent pattern of domestic violence, and it can go to any extent. So the first point where you stop this is when it happens the very first time. I would say maybe a very, even a very harsh voice, or even a touch that looks like a push. That is where you stop it. That is where you recognize it. And when you recognize it, then you process and you communicate and make sure that there is a full stop to that behavior. Another thing that happens in a lot of marriages is marital marital rape, what we call uh, sexual intimacy without consent, where your consent just does not matter. That is another, this is a very, very clear indication of absolute, an absolute toxic situation. Okay. Now, हमने ये तो समझ लिया that these are some of the how do I say, some of the red flags that I have identified. Now, how will you combat this? Okay. Now there are very when women come, first of all, if you feel you're going through this, I would say please do not try to battle this alone, especially if it is very severe. I would say first step, if you can find someone, get help. And when I say first help, the first step of contact should be someone who's family, friend, whoever you can speak to and connect to. Please do not allow yourself to be isolated, because people who are toxic, people who are abusers, the first thing they will want to do is to isolate you from people who love you or people who can support you, because they don't want you to be able to grab support instantly. They don't want other people to be able to have access to you and to influence your mind in a way that will not align with their pattern. So the first step is to surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, who have nothing to give and receive, where it's just pure unconditional support. And slowly start building that support system and start communicating. Please don't feel shy about it, don't feel low about it. A lot of women feel, अरे socially ऐसे कैसे हम बात कर सकते हैं, अरे marriage में तो होता ही है. And these are a lot of lot of myths and lot of comments that do come sometimes. Unfortunately, when you share with someone also, there are a lot of people who will guide you otherwise to say कोई बात नहीं, हर शादी में ये होता ही है, ये तो बेयर करना ही है, दिस इज कॉमन, तो क्या हो गया, इट्स नॉट वर्थ रूइनिंग द मैरिज, चला लो, हम सभी तो ऐसे कर. नाउ दीज आर द पीपल यू डोंट वांट टू gain support from. You know that you're not going to get that support from there, because their thought process is wired in a way where toxicity is okay. You want to connect with someone who understands you and who helps you. First of all, the first step is to acknowledge and say that yes, this is toxic and it is not okay. Okay, so first thing, isolation जो है उसको break करके we will start building a inner circle, and then slowly a social circle, where we can start and stay connected with people who know what is happening, who have the ability and access to understand what is happening with you. Now, once you have done that, I would say please still don't battle it alone, because not everyone is equipped to help you in the right manner. They may have experienced something similar or observed something similar, but they may or may not have the hack to exactly help you in your situation, given your pattern. So please, if it is severe, seek a therapist's help or support, and a therapist is well equipped to support you, to ground you, to also encourage you, empower you with the courage and strength. And when I say courage and strength, there is a lot of resilience, courage, and strength required at this stage when you want to really wriggle your way out or draw boundaries and mend that relationship and make it stable. So go to a therapist, find yourself someone who is equipped to help you. Now, once you do this, what is the process? If like when I have cases like that, what is the first thing we need to do? The first step The first step to healing is self awareness. The first step is self awareness. And when I say self awareness, I would want you to ask yourself कि पहली बार जब ये हुआ तब why did you allow it to happen? What were you hoping? Sometimes we are hoping it's not permanent. We are hoping अच्छा गलती से हो गया होगा. It will not happen again. Sometimes we are afraid of even acknowledging it happened. So you don't want to see it. Sometimes it may even have repeated and you do see it, but you feel you are helpless. Sometimes you feel you don't have a choice. And sometimes it can be that you may have, you have a choice, but you may not have a better choice. So a lot of women, they get stuck here कि यहाँ से निकलेंगे तो जाएं कहाँ? इससे better कहाँ है? I may not be able to attract better only. A lot of women, they come with the baggage of past relationships, broken relationships, toxic relationships. And that makes them believe somewhere that their deservability quotient and the deservability level is right there where they are. So they don't dare to dream high. They don't dare to imagine that they can be loved and respected in a way that is better than that. So if you are somewhere in this, in the middle of this, I would encourage you to ask yourself, what is it that this relationship is really giving me? This is what we call, there are two types of giving. One, when you analyze, I would like you to analyze cognitively. इस रिश्ते से क्या मिल रहा है? What is happening? What am I giving in? What is coming out of this? Why am I so helpless despite all of these signs that I'm not able to stand up for myself? What is so important that is coming out of it? It will be most likely a void that you're feeling in your life. It will be most likely something that was taken away or that you have been craving for. Sometimes it's also just craving for attention. A lot of women who would have craved for attention from their father, male attention, that the attention where someone is looking out for you, where someone cares for you, where someone protects you. And that is what they seek in that relationship. So as long as they get that, they are okay to be treated any which ways. Now, this is just one of the things. Sometimes there is void, sometimes loneliness is unbearable. So I would want you to take a journal and jot down what is it that this relationship is fulfilling so much that you're willing to tolerate any amount of toxicity and not stand up for yourself. Second thing, most likely at this point of time, self-worth is extremely low. And the toxic relationship pattern would have contributed to it. So I would want you to jot down all the questions, all the criticisms, everything where you feel you are low, you're lacking, you're empty, you're less than others. All of that, and ask yourself, is it really? Really, am I that bad? Really? Can it really be this? Okay. And most likely when you start questioning yourself, yes, initially you will start feeling yeah हाँ मैं यहीं पे हूँ, but I would want you to keep questioning yourself around it and keep thinking and keep associating with the times where you were much more powerful before this relationship or even within the relationship. Of course, all of this can be done better with a therapist, but I'm just sharing a few tips here. Again, self-awareness about your emotions, about your triggers. There are certain triggers the abuser will know. When I do this, this person will get triggered in this way and act in this manner. So becoming aware of our emotions, the emotional void, what kind of emotion this person is fulfilling, what else is this person fulfilling, what are the areas where I feel I am lacking and I'm less, because of which I have my deservability quotient so low that I can't stand up for myself. And if it is really powerlessness where you're feeling trapped, then I would say please go ahead and take bold steps. If it's beyond all of this, please go ahead and take bold steps. Now, once you are a little more aware and mindful of your own situation, I would, the next step after self awareness is acknowledgement. And this is a very difficult phase. It is not impossible, it is doable, but it is a very difficult, it's a very tough phase. It takes a lot of courage to acknowledge the fact that you are struggling in a toxic relationship. So, stage two is acknowledgement. Now, once you have understood, accept, and this acknowledgement is not to someone else. The main self talk is happening with yourself. The self realization and acknowledgement that yes, I'm standing here, and this cannot happen, and this is non-negotiable. It cannot be how the relationship works. So when you come to this point of acknowledgement, cheer yourself up, pat yourself on your back, because you have actually crossed a major milestone. This is the biggest block for most women, or most men also for that matter. Then I would suggest, if you have reached this point, please do seek therapy from a therapist or someone who else within your family, or some wherever you know, who is equipped and aware and is able to genuinely help you out. Okay. Step four, once you have someone by your side in whatever manner, you have a support system, or at least one or two people who are supporting you, then the next step is to start building a little bit of confidence, because this is the time or a period in your life where you are actually at the rock bottom of your self confidence and self worth. If that was a little higher, you would have, or you would be able to build the courage to stand up for yourself and say, no, this is not fine, or even at least ask. So, step four is building self confidence, building self resilience, and a little bit of self worth, if I may use that word. I'm not even going to call it self love. It is far from self love at this stage. It's just basic self respect and self worth that we want to work on. Now, once you have built self worth, the next step is to gather courage, because you know it's unfair by now. Self worth says, this is not okay. I will not allow this. But do we have the courage to stand up? Do we have the courage to fight against that situation? Because by now you've already been through spirals and spirals and spirals of this pattern, and this is all different kind of abuse blended all together. It doesn't come in isolation, right? When there is a toxic relationship, gaslighting bhi hota hai, love bombing bhi hota hai, isolation bhi hota hai. Okay. Social stigmatizing, criticizing, nagging, ye bhi hota hai. The reward punishment is also happening. It's all happening all at the same time. Now, since you've already become part of this cycle and you've become used to it, it's very difficult to break it. It requires a lot of courage. So, the next step is building that courage, being able to say, yes, I'm strong enough, I'm powerful enough, and I'm going to be able to do this, and I will take small steps. And courage starts with small steps. Okay. Never in any situation or any toxic relationship are you able to going to, you're not going to be able to just wave your magic wand and say, oh, this is it, tomorrow onwards it's going to change. It's not going to work like that. The person will not listen to that. So it's always going to begin with small baby steps, which means a small no, a small no, again and again and again and again, reasserting yourself over and over and over again, being consistent in your opinion without melting away. So, what happens when you do this? The opposite person will start to, uh, you know, love bomb you, talk sweet, promise. Some people who are not married yet will suddenly start promising, "Oh, let's get engaged." The moment they see it's tipping off, it's about to break, this will begin. So, the courage or the courageous part is where you understand, and despite all this emotional overwhelm, you're able to be stable in it and practically say, yes, I understand all of this, but this is a no. Okay, that is the courage part. the phase of courage, building your own courage, gathering courage, standing up for yourself, and being consistent with small steps. Then you come, as you take smaller steps, you start progressing to the big things that do matter. In every relationship, there are certain issues which are very sensitive and which are a very non negotiable part of the relationship. And beginning to stand up for yourself and starting to, uh, first of all, identify what is non negotiable for you, and then being able to open our mouth and communicate that, that itself is a tough phase for a lot of people. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So that itself is a tough thing to do for a whole lot of people. So identifying non-negotiables and communicating them very, very clearly, without scope for any manipulation, crystal clear communication. And once you have done that, reasserting your power is the last step, where you say, you know what, if this has to work, it has to work in this manner. I'm willing to, and I'm open to discussing and mutually working this out. But these are the non negotiables, and these are the areas where I'm willing to consider your point or your behavior. And this is how we will give and take and balance it out. Okay, so this is just a very simple process, I would say. Again, I have just touched the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot to it. This is a journey, as I said earlier. It is good to have someone by your side who can be there, because there are going to be a lot of meltdowns. There are going to be a lot of weak moments. There are going to be a lot of toxic moments when you are battling this, especially if you're battling it alone. Because in that room, in that moment, you are alone, even if you do have a mentor. So there will be dips, there will be mental, emotional breakdowns at times. It is possible. Please do make sure you are resilient. And if it goes beyond a point, beyond the point of control, I would say please go take a step ahead and take bold actions. By bold, I also mean if it is very traumatic, you can take legal action. I would say before that, at least move out of the house, talk to the neighbors, talk to people who can support you, rescue you if it's very toxic at that point of time, uh, in any way, not just physical. Physical is not the only way of abuse. Even if it's mentally, emotionally very toxic, I would say please move out, get support from neighbors or friends or whoever is willing to come there. And if it persists and it's very nasty, please go seek legal support. With that, I think I just wanted to share today the science and a basic, very, very, very basic process of how you could, how the journey to healing is. There's a lot more to it, and I'm open to questions. If you have any, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Delna, for sharing your wisdom. And friends, if you have any questions, you can just type in the comments, and you'll get the answer. Right? So we are waiting for your questions. If you have any, you can ask. Meanwhile, I have some questions, so let me ask here. So first of all, like, how can someone identify that this person, that I am in the toxic relationship?
Okay, as I said, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, you're feeling low in your self-worth, someone is constantly criticizing you, telling you, making you doubt yourself, making you doubt your own statement. Sometimes you start wondering, is there something wrong with me only? Okay, 90%, this is, it's a very common red flag. You will start, the person that the abuser makes you believe there's something wrong with you. They don't want to be the one, who's the bad person there. So you start believing you're the bad person, you're giving in also, you're being dominated also, and despite whatever you do, you're the bad person there. And you just cannot stand up and say abuse. They will not take a no for an answer.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. And with this, we have a question from Gitika. How does a toxic relationship impact mental health
Okay.
and life?
Toxic. Yes, mental health is connected to life. So, toxic relationship can start affecting mental health. The initial symptoms are very minor. So, you will start seeing the person feeling upset, sad, a little angry. When it becomes a little more, then starts becoming fearful, because that behavior causes a certain trigger to happen which is not bearable. So you start the person may start experiencing this a sense of fear, which is not like typical fear, but you just want that, it's going to come, and you just want to avoid it. And you can sense that there is a sense of dis-ease in that person's normal behavior pattern.
Yeah.
Then slowly they start disconnecting with their social circle. When that isolation begins to happen, that itself is a major red flag. And you know that this person is, there's something not right with him or her. After social isolation, what happens? Support system bhi hil gaya hai. Now mentally it is playing on a mental loop constantly, even more from morning to night. So they start experiencing mild streaks of depression or stress or anxiety. You will start seeing a difference in their work pattern. If जो normal उनका work day होता है, even in office or at home or wherever you observe the person, you will start seeing that they are not their normal self. Then it goes to anxiety, and then it may go further to an anxiety attack. What is an anxiety attack? जब आप perspire कर रहे हो, आपको पेट में डर लग रहा है, your heart is pulsating. Okay, this is anxiety attack, even worse, panic attack, where you suddenly feel your heart is stopped. सांस ही बंद हो गई है. Okay,
Right.
there can be blackouts, there can be dizziness. Okay, these are extreme cases, but yes, you can identify. I would say don't wait till the blackout happens. Identify when they start behaving differently in a social environment. It can go all the way to post traumatic symptoms. It can actually be an entire traumatic experience, and the post traumatic symptoms can carry on for a very long phase. So it's not just कि उस moment में है, it's a long term thing. It can affect, it can lead to insomnia and a lot of other uh, psychological conditions, which can be very harmful in the long run.
Right. And mental health, somewhere it impacts the physical health also.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Simple thing, insomnia, you're going to see the person, not as productive, not as active. You will see a dip in their diet. Some people, because, or, unfortunately, if they don't have the right support system, they will slip into substance. It can be any substance, any crutch. Some अच्छा हर किसी के लिए substance नहीं होता है. A lot of people, it's a very funny discovery. There are a lot of women who are now suddenly into Netflix and video gaming. And I was very surprised at the statistics. I said, "You play video games?" He said, "Yes, ma'am. I don't know what to do. Candy Crush is the only thing." Okay, so and then it happens, it goes on for longer hours. So you, because the only way to escape that pain or that condition or the thought loop that's constantly going on is some crutch or the other. So it can be alcohol, it can be smoke, it can be drug, it can be a video game, it can be Netflix, whatever it is. Or some people will take a tub of ice cream. They want to lose weight to impress their partner, and they're sitting with a tub of ice cream, having more and more of it, wanting to escape that. So there are different kind of crutches, but very likely, you latch on to one, uh, and it does affect very adversely even the physical health.
Amazing. So, all right, thank you so much, Gitika, for answering your question. It actually, added a lot of value, and thank you so much, Delna, for answering this. So, the next question is like, as ma'am said, talked about toxic relationship. There are some phases which we call rough phase. So, what is the difference between rough phase and toxic relationship?
Toxic relationship is a condition which is there perennially, वो चल रहा है बहुत time से. However, yet when the phase becomes very intense, when the level of abuse becomes unbearable for the partner, when it starts to move from just basic mental abuse to there are times where the mental abuse is happening and there are headaches and migraines. It starts converting to that. Then you know that you're at that point where it's going to come very close to the breaking point. So the moment you start feeling that this is coming to a point where it's unbearable, you are in that rough phase. And rough phase unfortunately हमारे इंडियन सोसाइटी में ऐसा होता है कि आप बात करो और आपको सपोर्ट भी ना मिले. A lot of women unfortunately in our society, they struggle, they actually, it takes a lot of courage to to go and talk to someone and say मेरे साथ ये हो रहा है. And then society tells you, अरे why do you want to mess it up, सबके साथ तो होता है. And you are powerless, there's no support, and you have to keep building your self esteem every morning. You face it, you go down and you have to pick yourself up. Then you sort of latch on to a substance or some kind of crutch, and then you know that that's bad. Then you pull yourself out of that, and again another abuse and another abuse and another abuse through the day. So it seems like a never ending day where you start feeling that I want to sleep because I just don't want the day to begin. When you start escaping, know that you are in a this is the breaking point. This is the absolute rough phase. I've seen women sleeping for 14 hours just to not face it.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much once again for this answer. And my friend, I'm sure that you've got the answer. So the next question is like, हम ऐसे क्या स्टेप ले सकते हैं शुरू में जब हमें पता चल जाता है कि ये मेरे लिए टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम जो आपने पहले बताया था.
Right. It's very paradoxical. I always tell women, I mean, at that initial phase, अगर इस रिलेशनशिप को छोड़ने की हिम्मत रखती हो ना, तो you have the power to even set it right.
Right.
I don't know if you're able to understand what I'm saying. अगर डर नहीं है, if you don't fear losing the relationship and you feel confident enough that अगर ये चला गया ना relationship, तब भी I'm going to be fine. Forget the next relationship. I'm going to be fine. I will manage. अगर आप इस stage पे हो, then you will be able to actually even turn this around. And to be able to actually work through this, जैसे आपको ये समझ आ जाए, I would say the first enemy or your battle is with that inner fear कि मैं ठीक नहीं रहूंगी या मैं ठीक नहीं रहूंगा. So that first step is to accept, if this is not there, before I've lived XYZ years of my life without this, I existed, I thrived, I was absolutely fine. चलो thrive नहीं किया, but हम जिंदा थे, तो हम अब भी मैनेज कर लेंगे. The moment you come to this stage, you will be able to slowly take steps towards deservability, self-worth, self-love. Keep building your circle, keep experimenting, keep living. When you start living and you start enjoying your own company, trust me, you will not need a relationship as a crutch. And when you're in that state, nobody will want to mess with the relationship either, because they know you're absolutely fine without it.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you once again, Delna, for answering this question and my friend for asking this. एक क्वेश्चन और है कि मैम यू आर अ रेकी मास्टर, सो तो क्या रेकी भी हेल्प करती है टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप को हील करने में, और हाँ तो कैसे?
Tremendously. So, in any kind of healing, there are three aspects which I see. One is occult, जो आपकी numerology होती है, जो ग्रहास होते हैं. That is something which is what we are born with. उसमें भी there's a lot of scope of lot of remedies and lot of very mindful shifts that you can do. And I would say a lot of it is mindset. जब आपको आपका karmic पता चल जाए, I would say don't look at it as someone who has given you an answer कि आपके साथ होने वाला. I would say look at it a little more mindfully and strategically. अगर this is what I have, what is the best I can do to make my life awesome with it? That is step one. Whatever you're born with, there will be strengths, there will be weaknesses. How do you reduce the weaknesses? Very mindfully, with mindset work, with energy work, and how do you maximize on your strengths with whatever numbers you have in your chart or whatever planetary positions you have. So first area, one area is occult. The second area is, as I shared, mindset. A lot happens when you work with your mind cognitively. Practically, there are so many modalities and tools and so many mentors and coaches today who will help you, equip you, empower you with strategies that can help you not just pick yourself up, but empower yourself and thrive. And then the third aspect is the energy aspect. And this, I believe, is one of the most important aspects of healing. बिकॉज आप कितना ही माइंडसेट पे वर्क करो, कितने रेमेडीज आप कर लो, बट अगर आपकी बॉडी में एनर्जी नहीं है, यू आर लाइक अ कार विदाउट पेट्रोल. You have the best GPS in your car, and you have the best indoors, and you have the best technology, but if you don't have the electricity or the petrol to run it, it's just not going to move one step forward. So energy
Exactly.
work, Reiki, is that for you to reset, to realign, to balance, and not just balance. Slowly, you start working on activating and expanding the chakra energy. You start working on expanding the aura. You start expanding that the vibrational frequency because of which you're attracting what you're attracting. जब वही चेंज हो जाएगा तो जो आप अट्रैक्ट कर रहे हो वो पर्सन भी चेंज हो जाएगा, वो सिचुएशन भी चेंज हो जाएगा, उसका बिहेवियर भी चेंज हो जाएगा. ही मे बी डिफरेंट विद डिफरेंट पीपल, बट विथ यू he or she cannot be the same anymore if you have changed your energy frequency.
Yeah. तो रेकी से कैसे हील कर सकते हैं इसको? क्या वो
So
खुद कर सकते हैं या उनको किसी की हेल्प चाहिए?
अगर आपका शक्तिपात नहीं हुआ है, then you will require a Reiki practitioner to support you with it. However, I always suggest to people, आप 2 या 3 सेशंस एक्सपीरियंस कीजिए, understand how it feels in your body, understand the Reiki master or the Reiki practitioner and how this entire healing modality works on you. And once you feel confident, I would say, not having a practitioner as a crutch for you, because every time you feel sad you want healing, you go to the healer and he will do one session. आप कब तक ये करेंगे? So I said, after you have understood it, when you're confident, go ahead, learn it from a Reiki master, get attuned. Reiki only works with attunement. बहुत सारे लोग ये सोचते हैं यूट्यूब पे वीडियो देख के हो जाता है, ऐसे नहीं होता है. शक्तिपात होता है. There's a proper initiation and attunement that happens where the energies align to the divine portal. Once that is done, then through your palms, you start experiencing the flow of energy. That is universal energy, that's omnipresent, it's all around you. Right now, when you start experiencing this flow of energy, all we are going to do is we're going to focus it onto one part or one chakra, one moment at a time. So then of course it's a very deep science that may be for another time, but you can place your palms, it's called touch healing, the first level. You can place your palms on your own body very gently, maybe half an inch away, and allow the universal energy to flow and focus onto each chakra one at a time. And as it does that, it balances your chakras, it balances your energy, thereby creating a deep healing uh, process and outcome.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Delna, for explaining this. And yes, friend, you can actually learn Reiki because Reiki helps in a lot of things, or I should say everything. And it is only limited to your imagination. कि आप कहाँ पर Reiki को use कर सकते हो.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you want to learn, then Delna is the best. Connect
Thank
with
you.
her and learn this vibration, and it is magical. सो डेल्ला एक क्वेश्चन और है कि कई बार क्या होता है कि जो टॉक्सिक पैटर्न्स होते हैं वो अनइंटेंशनल होते हैं. तो
Agreed.
हाउ कैन वी हैंडल देम?
By first becoming self-aware and then helping the other person also become aware. This is where a lot of heart-to-heart communication helps. अगर unintentional है तो सामने वाला भी समझ आएगा. See, a lot of times this other person who is so called toxic, they have also gone through exactly the same. उन्होंने और कुछ सीखा ही नहीं है, तो और कुछ आता ही नहीं है, तो और कैसे आपको ट्रीट किया जाए?
Right.
So if they have observed that same pattern in their home or surroundings, wherever they have, observed, then they're going to just as is reproduce that pattern subconsciously. So awareness is the key. Having a lot of heart to heart conversations is the key. And then, of course, a lot of times the person is helpless. He knows कि ये subconsciously हो रहा है, but still they are not able to handle it. So please go then to a therapist. Couple therapy is very very useful if it is unintentional. अगर सामने वाले का intention है उस marriage पे या उस relationship पे work करने का, if you lovingly help them understand, most likely they will come with you. They will see the therapist, and a therapist can really help the two people understand, sort the differences, and find a middle path.
Right. That's right. Thank you so much once again for this answer. And once again, we have a question from Gitika. What are the most effective communication strategies to address these toxic issues then?
Yes. I would always say start with I feel statements. Okay. The beginning point is always an I feel statement. Uh, it is not about the I, मुझे ऐसा चाहिए. A lot of people say I statements. I statement is not where you say I want this, you did this, I did this, I want this, you want this. These are statements that are complete, absolute, I would say blunders. It just damages the emotion and the mind and the heart and the relationship in the long run. But when you start communicating, separating the person from the incident, and you say the same thing in a way where you say, you know what, when this happens in our relationship, not when you do this, when this happens in our relationship, it makes me feel like this. Now, every time you separate the individual and you are not stigmatizing the person, you are creating a safe space for communication. अगर आप यही I and you versus me में शुरू हो जाएंगे तो वो बंदा बात ही नहीं करेगा. So the first step to communication is to create the space, the environment where the person is open to talking. So first step, separate the person from the issue. You don't have a problem with the person. You have a problem with what is happening. So discuss the issue and do not go into the past. इस इश्यू में अभी मुझे ऐसा महसूस हो रहा है. क्यों महसूस हो रहा है? It makes me feel insecure about 1 2 3, or it makes me feel scared about 1 2 3. And then you can share what it actually, what kind of repercussion it can have on you, what it has on you. Most likely, see, you are not going to date someone who absolutely doesn't care, so they will understand at least the repercussions. Uske baad bhi agar nahi ho raha hai, then I will say start with drawing boundaries, to say, you know what, I have been trying to share, when this happens I feel like this, and because it makes me feel like this and consistently I cannot handle it, I am going to choose to do this with all due love and respect for you. I'm going to choose to take this path, or I'm going to choose to stay out of this. जो भी आप boundary set कर रहे हैं. Okay. Now, after you have done that, अगर फिर भी वो persist करे, then it has to get little bolder and bolder and bolder. But I always say, watch your tone, because no matter how harsh the other person is screaming, if your tone is going to be the same, soft, not the weak soft, but mild or soft, very, very affirmative, very firm, consistent message. Communication में सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये होता है, you say no today and then later on आप पिघल के yes बोल देते हो, then you are confusing the other person also. सामने वाला क्या सोचेगा, ये तो पिघल जाएगी ना, क्या पता कल चेंज हो जाए. Let me see if I can get my way around by doing this. But if there is no scope of confusion and you're very consistent, ये नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा, मैं बहुत प्यार से बोल रही हूँ, नहीं होगा, I'm sorry for the 50th time, नहीं होगा. So that I think is the beginning. Of course, communication is also very deep topic, but yes, that Gitika I think is where you begin.
Very nice. Once again, thank you so much, Girika, for asking this question. And I am actually loving your questions. So keep asking. And friends, all of you who are here, you can ask your questions. सो द नेक्स्ट वन इज लाइक जैसे हम कम्युनिकेशन की हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो क्या पास्ट के भी कुछ ऐसे इश्यूज होते हैं जो कि इस रिलेशनशिप से कनेक्टेड नहीं है, बट कहीं ना कहीं इस रिलेशनशिप को भी इम्पैक्ट कर रहे हैं, एंड दैट कुड बी फ्रॉम ईदर साइड.
Yes, that is always from both the sides. It is never from either side. आपके भी नो बडी इज कमिंग फ्रेश इनटू अ रिलेशनशिप. अगर आपकी इसके पहले कोई रिलेशनशिप नहीं भी रही है तो भी आपने अपने पेरेंट्स की और फैमिली मेंबर्स के रिश्ते देखे हैं. यू हैव सीन रिलेशनशिप. सो एवरीबडी इज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ स्पेस ऑफ मेमोरी. देयर इज सम मेमोरी ऑफ सम काइंड ऑफ रिलेशनशिप. और जहां पे भी रिलेशनशिप हो, it's not possible for us to not experience any kind of toxicity anywhere in any kind of relationship. ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता. So we have all got certain memories, concepts, and beliefs. Both parties are coming with that. Now, apart from that belief system, also there are people who would have had a nasty relationship or observed a nasty relationship experience. A lot of times from the parents could be possible. Now, these things they lead to a very hurt inner child, a bruised inner child. आप रिश्ते में तो जा रहे हो because there is, you want a partner, but deep inside there are certain beliefs and certain parts of you which are already bruised. You're walking into it like a bruised warrior only, and this is most likely happening for both the husband and the wife, or the both the partners. So now with this baggage of the past, when both of us or both people are trying to make things work, it is going to affect. There will be past triggers. There will be deep fears. There will be patterns also that will, there are ancestral patterns. I say there are patterns in relationship that run through genetics. आप ऑब्जर्व कीजिए जो आपके पेरेंट्स की सिचुएशन है, यू विल हैव सम काइंड ऑफ कनेक्शन. यू विल सी विद इन योर फैमिली कि अच्छा मम्मी के साथ भी ऐसा तो हुआ था, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा तो हो रहा है, मासी के साथ भी ऐसा तो हो रहा था. You will actually observe there are certain patterns, not all, certain patterns which are patterns running in the family, which are just passed from one generation to another. Those are called ancestral patterns. Then there are others that we create, जो मैं बार बार करती हूँ. In every relationship I end up in that way because I don't change the way I think about myself. I don't change the way I see myself. I don't change the way I have my self-worth quotient. So uh, the person may keep changing, but I'm exactly right there. My belief system is right there. What I attract is right there. So you will see the
Right.
same. It doesn't matter कौन आ रहा है. That pattern becomes a constant. Now the new partner has to handle that baggage.
Right.
So there are multiple things. There can be traumatic incidents. By trauma, there can be different kind of traumatic incidents that lead to different kind of fears and insecurities in a relationship. So both people could experience that trauma. Both people would have a past in this present life where they, in their own relationship patterns, not necessarily with a romantic partner, but people also. Sometimes you have people patterns. So trust issues होंगे and abuse की patterns होंगी. और कुछ past life की भी patterns होती हैं. I will not go very deep into that. When we do past life therapy and all, we understand that deeper. But there are so many things that do impact. So certainly, it will be there.
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच वंस अगेन. इसके साथ एक क्वेश्चन और है, बहुत बहुत बढ़िया सा क्वेश्चन है कि अक्सर ये कहा जाता है कि जो कुछ हमारे साथ होता है हम उसको मैनिफेस्ट करते हैं. तो क्या इफ आई मीन टू टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप, क्या वो मैंने मैनिफेस्ट की है?
Absolutely की है. Absolutely की है. As much as it hurts to hear that, trust me, ये हम ही ने manifest की है. based
Okay.
on where you see you are, based on what you see you deserve. And that is why when I work with women, I work for a very, very, very long time on the self-worth and the deservability quotient. And you keep shifting. It's not easy to shift it. So, sometimes when I work with women over a long period of time, there is this process of rebound, which is natural when it happens, when you're not married and you're moving from one relationship to another. It's possible इसमें से निकले दूसरा दूसरा दूसरा. So then, when that is a constant pattern, the only aim is that the next one that happens, at least the deservability quotient has changed. It cannot go back to where you were. So if the toxicity level is 100, at least set the bar that it pushes and comes to maybe 60. Then you made progress. Then push the bar and say, no, I deserve better. I'm not saying you don't commit. अगर आपको बीच में, if you get a good life partner, please do go ahead. But if you're falling into that trap, then I would say, even if you're falling into that trap, push your deservability and say, yes, next time, all of this, never again, not happening, cannot tolerate, non-negotiable. So next time when you set the bar, you say, no, I will get better. So 60 से हम 30 आएंगे, फिर then we come to 20, 10, and then slowly you start working on manifesting a higher frequency soulmate in your life.
राइट. सो हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि उन्होंने कॉन्शियस लेवल पर नहीं, बट उन्होंने सबकॉन्शियसली उन चीजों को अट्रैक्ट किया है.
यस, सबकॉन्शियस ही नहीं, मैं बता रही हूँ कि कॉन्शियस लेवल पे भी a lot of people know and they feel and they actually express when you do therapy, and they actually do a little self awareness work. They will admit to you that I believe मुझे इससे बेटर मिलेगा ही नहीं, क्योंकि पता है पिछला वाला तो बहुत ब्रूटली मारता था, ये तो फिर भी ठीक है. So I've had cases like, and this is very common. You always compare to the worst. Then you say, अच्छा चलो, मतलब कोई साथ तो है मैम, अकेले तो नहीं जाना पड़ता, घर खोल के अकेले तो नहीं रहना पड़ता. So the comparison is always with the biggest, the worst. So somewhere you still feel कि अच्छा चलो इतना तो मिल तो रहा है ना. That itself, and a lot of people are consciously aware of it. Subconscious तो दूर की बात, subconscious में तो बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, automatically is happening. But even consciously, a lot of us are aware of it, and we are somewhere okay with it. क्योंकि नहीं, loneliness कैसे handle करेंगे उसके बाद, स्टिग्मा कैसे हैंडल करेंगे, अरे पिछला भी टूटा था. Then people will start saying तुम्हारा तो हर रिश्ता टूट रहा. All of this starts to happen. So consciously also sometimes we know that we are not building that deservability or helping ourselves there.
Yes. Thank you so much once again for the wonderful answer. इसके साथ एक क्वेश्चन और है, तो क्या वर्क प्लेस पर भी टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप होता है, और अगर हाँ तो उसको हम कैसे हैंडल कर सकते हैं?
जरूरी नहीं है कि हर किसी के वर्क प्लेस पे हो, बट यूजुअली जहां लोग होते हैं, हर किसी के सेटअप में, हर किसी सेटअप में टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप कोई ना कोई एक कहीं इंसान होता ही है. Whether it is in your family, in your joint family situation, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your social circle, or in your intimate relationship. So yes, workplace, sometimes it is just the boss, which is toxic. Sometimes it is a team which is toxic. Sometimes it is the entire work culture which is toxic. The entire organization functions in that way, where certain things are just normal. It's okay to abuse the employee like that.
Right. And इसके साथ एक क्वेश्चन और है कि can you please share best 3 ways to overcome this?
Okay. The first step is to recognize. Okay. The first step is to recognize. Then as you recognize, then you combat it, you process it. Okay. And then as you start processing it, then you reclaim your power. Okay. Recognize, process, or resist whatever is happening, fight against it, stand up for yourself, and then finally reclaim your power. Reclaiming of your power happens with clear communication, where you are setting your boundaries and setting the ground very clear in the relationship.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have two more questions. So, friends, if you have any question, you can ask. So, I've got two more here. Uh, एक तो ये कि मतलब जब लोग टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप में होते हैं तो उस टाइम पर उनकी जो सेल्फ इमेज होती है या सेल्फ वर्थ होती है वो कहीं ना कहीं डाउन हो जाती है. तो उस टाइम पर अपनी उस सेल्फ इमेज को वो कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करें?
सेल्फ इमेज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए सबसे पहले बहुत सारा सेल्फ टॉक इज एसेंशियल. Okay, because there is only so much you can talk even with the therapist. So of course the therapist will show you certain techniques, uh, certain ways of balancing yourself, uh, but when your self-worth is very low, I would always encourage you to start thinking of a time where it was not, and you go back to the time where it was not, and when you were very very powerful, and just think, what was right in my life, what was I doing back then जब मेरी लाइफ मेरे लिए वर्क कर रही थी. And most likely you will find there is a huge part of yourself that makes you very happy, which is a missing block right now, which could have just been dropped or ignored because of this relationship. Sometimes we switch priorities and we lose out major parts of ourselves which make us truly happy just because we are busy with something else. So I would say go back to the time where you were powerful and pick that one thing that worked for you. It could be an activity, it could be a state of mind, it could be something that you did. Okay. Sometimes it's just something as simple as taking the phone and connecting. Like, you know, I had a client, she said, मैम उस वक्त मैं अपनी बेस्ट फ्रेंड से रोज बात करती थी. छोटी सी बात है. But trust me, when you identify those few things that worked for you back then and you start implementing that, automatically, you know, even in NLP, we say, na, anchor. There are automatic anchors in our life. There are automatic
Yes.
anchors. So we start doing the things that we did when we were happy. Automatically, thoda thoda karke, we start feeling that little element of happiness, even if there's no joy in that current situation. You start getting that nostalgia, and that little bit of happy hormone starts to secrete. Then, of course, I would say next is to build your circle. That is the most important thing when self worth is low. To associate, to just cut off, mercilessly cut off from people who make you feel small and not enough. Just cut off. Out of love for yourself and out of love for them also, because it's not healthy for them either if they are making you feel that way.
Yes.
It's toxic for them as well. So, out of love for them and out of love for your own self, please just mercilessly cut off from anybody who makes you feel less worthy, or less than enough. And surround yourself with people who are, they may not be your best buddies, but they have that happy energy of support and how do I say, that liveliness, the joy, the support, the positive mindset, a mindset that aligns with your mindset. And initially आपको ऐसा लगेगा मैं कैसे ढूंढूं ऐसे लोग. Please see what your interests are. Go to common clubs. Find out activities that you resonate with, that you enjoy doing, where you will feel you most likely find like-minded people. It may take time, but आप कर लोगे. If you explore 10, 20, 30 different activities that you think you may enjoy, something will click, and you will eventually find that one group of people which works for you. Once you have that, you're sort of a little more, you have a safety net around you. Then you start working a little deeper with your therapist on your self worth. Okay, that is something,
Amazing.
what is a process. It is not something जो ऐसे हो जाएगा. So therapist can really help you build it, empower you, and help you thrive.
Yes. And therapist a wonderful guide because that person actually shows the way to you. आप कुछ कई बार कुछ ऐसी चीजें नहीं देख पाते जो आपका कोच या आपका गाइड देख पाता है.
Yes.
थैंक यू वंस अगेन डेलना. सो एक क्वेश्चन और अभी भी आया है कि कोई ऐसी एफर्मेशंस हैं जो हम यूज कर सकते हैं बिकॉज अक्सर ये माना जाता है कि एफर्मेशंस बहुत चेंज कर देती हैं.
So my favorite is, I am perfect, whole, and complete just the way I am. I am perfect,
Okay.
whole, and complete just the way I am. And I trust the process of life. I trust the process of life. I trust the process of life. I think, and in with affirmations, let me just share a tidbit. बहुत सारे लोग सोचते हैं बहुत सारे affirmations करूंगी तो बहुत सारा परिवर्तन होगा। ऐसे नहीं होता है। आप एक अफर्मेशन करिए और उसको हजारों बार करिए, देन यू सी द इम्पैक्ट। इट्स नॉट अबाउट हाउ मच, it is about the intensity, till it becomes part of your system and your inner voice starts telling you, no, you're thinking wrong, you're perfect, whole and complete just the way you are, you can't be thinking that, you are enough, you
Amazing.
are enough, you are enough. So till your inner voice starts to tell you that, I will say, keep repeating that one affirmation so intensely that it becomes part of your system, even if you're sleeping.
अक्सर ये कहा भी जाता है कोई आपका एक ऐसा परफेक्ट मूव होना चाहिए। सो अगर आपके पास एक परफेक्ट एफर्मेशन है एंड यू आर रिपीटिंग दिस अगेन एंड अगेन, सो दिस बिकम्स लाइक आपके अंदर वो आपकी सोल तक पहुंच जाती है।
Yes, true.
Wonderful. Now, just the last question. Any final tip for the people who are watching us now and who will be watching us later?
Uh, the only key thing is to recognize toxicity early, because by doing that you're not just doing yourself a favor, you're also doing the other person a favor. So please do recognize it, please be vocal about it, and if someone else is going through it, please don't sit on the fence watching the show. Please be there, stand up for the person, show that support, because the next person could be you or someone who you love. So I would say, let's come together, recognize these triggers, recognize these red flags early on, communicate, draw. This is non-negotiable. Abuse is non-negotiable. It cannot under any circumstances be accepted. So let's stand up for not ourselves alone, but for each other. Let's look out for people who are suffering and be there for them, be their cheerleader, be their support, be their safety net, so that we build a society like that where it can never happen and never be accepted again.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, friends, I'm sure that आज का जो आपको जो tips मिले हैं, you will definitely apply them, implement them in your journey, right? And now, as we are, moving to the end of the session, I actually want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for joining us tonight. आप लोग जो जो questions आपके आते हैं, बहुत बहुत बढ़िया questions होते हैं, and I really enjoy those questions. And your energy actually makes the session truly impactful. A huge thank you to our incredible guest speaker Delna for sharing her profound insights and practical tools, to help us break toxic relationship, these patterns. Right. So Delna,
Thank
your
you.
wisdom, your guidance actually have given us the hope, I can say. एक ऐसी होप क्रिएट कर किया है आपने, ऐसी क्लैरिटी दी है लोगों को जो कहीं ना कहीं उनकी लाइफ में हेल्दी रिलेशनशिप को क्रिएट करेंगे. It will build more meaningful connections. So thank you so much once again for accepting the proposal and coming into the show.
Thank you for having me over. It's really an honor to be here and sharing my tidbits. And thank you to everyone who has been watching so far and the ones who will be watching, and all your lovely questions, and lots of love to all of you. Thank you again.
एंड फ्रेंड्स, जो लोग आप जो भी आप में से जो कनेक्ट करना चाहते हैं डेलना जी के साथ, जो इफ यू वांट टू डाइव डीपर इनटू योर जर्नी ऑफ हीलिंग एंड ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, देन यू कैन कनेक्ट विद हर डायरेक्टली. जैसे ही सेशन पूरा होगा, मैं इनकी डिटेल्स डिस्क्रिप्शन में ऐड कर दूंगा एंड यू कैन कनेक्ट विद हर डायरेक्टली एंड यू कैन अगेन, अगर आप अपनी लाइफ को वाकई में एम्पावर करना चाहते हैं, ट्रांसफॉर्म करना चाहते हैं, रेकी सीखना चाहते हैं या बाकी दूसरी मोडेलिटीज आप सीखना चाहते हैं, शी इज द वन. ये एक ऐसी, शी इज अ पर्सनैलिटी हु एक्चुअली हैज गिवन 22+ years इनटू दिस फील्ड, और एक्सपीरियंस कहीं ना कहीं बोलता है. सो डू कनेक्ट विद हर एंड change your lives. Don't miss this chance to learn more from her. Okay. So once again, thank you so much for being here tonight, and let's continue to prioritize your well-being and अपनी relationship के लिए अगर आप ही काम नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा, right? And because if you will work for your relationship, that will bring joy and peace. Okay, so अभी के लिए बस इतना ही, and I'll see you next week with a new speaker and a new topic. Till then, stay healthy, take care, goodbye, and namaste.